He said I deserved it and sent me a link. Part 1. It all started too simply. Who is a submissive? Usually we imagine whips, leather outfits, red rooms, and props from 50 Shades of Grey. But submission can look completely different. A true submissive is someone who consciously and willingly gives up control to someone else. It's not about weakness. It's about a choice, a decision to finally stop being the strong one. When you've carried responsibilities, made decisions, followed rules your whole life, sometimes the only way to turn off your mind is to surrender. This is the story of a man who couldn't tell the truth. Not to his wife, not to himself, not even to God, but one day he told it to me. Hi, my name is Mia. I worked as a webcam model for 2 years. During that time, I heard it all. From boring fantasies to things I wish I could unhear. Every day felt like spinning a roulette wheel. You never know who's going to join or what they'll ask for. But him, he entered the room silently. No camera, no greeting, just a link and one sentence. You don't need to undress, just take control. The link led to remote control of a toy. On the screen, only his face. No nudity, no vulgarity, just him. Frozen, waiting, breathing slowly as if every click I made on that panel was a verdict. In theory, nothing complicated. I didn't have to get naked. I didn't have to perform. Just sit there and click. But from the very first second, I knew. This wasn't just pleasure on demand. This was a ritual. And me? I'd never been in the role of a mistress. I had no idea what to do with that kind of control. So what did I do? I stopped. And I wrote, I don't know who you are, or what you actually want. This isn't gonna work. He replied, slowly, calmly. His messages were neat, almost sermon-like, fitting in retrospect. My name is Jeff. I'm 46. I'm a pastor, small town. I've been with my wife Emily for 20 years. We have kids. And I can't keep living in this body as if it doesn't belong to me. Yes, you heard that right. A pastor, an actual one, with sermons, a Bible, Sunday prayers, and an overwhelming need to give up control. Every day I tell others how to live, but I stay silent. I hold it in. I hide. I don't want to be a bad husband. But my body, it's still mine, and it's asking. He told me Emily had refused sex. At first, just tired. Then, not tonight. Then, not anymore. And she's sick, her spine hurts. And I think about wanting, and that makes me feel like a monster. He didn't want to cheat. He just wanted to be seen, to be witnessed, shadows and all. When you take control, it's like my hands come back to life, but I don't move them. I just allow myself to be led. His face barely moved on screen, eyes slightly lowered, cheeks flushed. Not a single obscene word. No demands, no pressure. Just tension, thick and quiet, the kind you could slice with a knife. I didn't rush. I said I wanted to talk, to understand why this meant so much to him. He agreed without hesitation. I don't know why you're still reading this. Most girls leave the moment I start typing. I smiled. I am not most girls. Part 2. We are all normal. After that night, he started coming regularly. No demands, no pressure. He simply showed up, like this was the only place he could breathe freely. He never asked me to undress, never pushed. Sometimes we talked. Sometimes he stayed silent. Sometimes he opened up in ways that made the air feel heavy. I have fantasies. Ridiculous, strange, scary ones. I'm not proud of them, but they're mine, and I have no idea what to do with them. He said he couldn't talk about it with his wife, couldn't say it out loud even in confession, because even a pastor isn't allowed to have shadows. When you preach morality to others, you can't afford to have a dark side. But I have one, always have. I never ask for details. But he told me anyway, in fragments, with long pauses and labored breathing. I want to be led, not hurt, not humiliated, just to have someone say, I've got this now. That feeling, it takes the guilt away. He had a collection of toys, not the usual kind. He showed them to me. Cautiously, like seeking permission to be himself. I didn't react, I just accepted. And that was enough for him to go on. I don't know if it's normal, but when I talk to you, I don't feel like hiding. He knew I wasn't pretending. He felt it. Over time, he became one of my knights. That's what they call regulars who support a model not just with money, but with presence. But for me, it meant something more. It meant he chose to be here, to stay. Sometimes he'd pay for a private session just so I could sleep. He knew when I was exhausted, and he simply stayed in the room, quietly. You give so much to others. I want to give something back. Let you rest. She wasn't a fetter, a human being, with doubts, with shadows, with longing, and I didn't find that ugly. Maybe because we're all like that. We all have something strange inside us, something we hide, something we think disqualifies us from love. But really, we all just want one thing, to be accepted, without shame, without labels. Thank you for letting me just be here with you. And that's when I understood something I'll never forget. Even the strangest desires are not perversions. They're a cry for help, and if someone answers that cry without judgment, it stops being scary. Part 3. Everything came crashing down. He stayed with me for almost 2 years. Sometimes we talked weekly, sometimes he vanished for a month, but he always returned, and I could feel it. This wasn't entertainment for him. It was a pause, a breath, a rare place where he could drop the mask and simply be human. I never thought I'd live to see the day a pastor talked to me about vibrating plugs. But Jeff wasn't talking about kink. He was talking about vulnerability. I'm not cheating. I just let myself feel, and then I close it all off again. He tried to be gentle, even in his fantasies, but you could feel the demons, the ones he'd been stuffing down for decades. Once, he told me, I used to be bold, young, alive, but then came the sermons, the pressure, the image, and I became someone I didn't recognize anymore. Then came the night it all shattered. I messed up. I met two girls. They said they lived nearby. It was a pair of Colombian models. He went private with them. They asked him to do what he usually only trusted me with. He said yes. He even let them record it. And that was his mistake. They blackmailed me. Said they'd send the video to my church if I didn't pay. He couldn't pay, and they kept their promise. The video reached the church council, and Emily, the whole town found out. Not just about the toy, but about the truth, about what he wanted, what he'd hidden. He didn't defend himself. He didn't argue. He disappeared. A month later, he sent me one last message. They fired me. Emily was furious. She wanted to leave. But she didn't. We moved away, started over. I feel broken. But maybe I needed to become free. He said they were finally talking about intimacy, about pain, about what he'd been too afraid to admit. Now she knows everything, and she does things for me I was always scared to ask for, because she's not afraid anymore either. I read it and didn't know what to feel. Sadness? Relief? I just knew this. He'd lost his title, his reputation, but he'd found truth. And maybe, sometimes, everything has to collapse, so the real life can begin. You didn't judge me, and that gave me the strength to be honest. Thank you. We never spoke again, but I'll never forget him. He was too good for too long, until he finally allowed himself to be real. Have you ever felt it? The urge to surrender? To drop the armor? And what if behind that surrender is your freedom?